So, today I'm going to be talking about analysis of recent leaked dumps. So, called 100 million secrets. It's the actual number of secrets is variable. I do want to say before we start out here that is a bit of adult content and language in here just by nature. When people are writing things that they don't think anybody's ever going to see, they're a little bit more open with what they feel they can write. Some of the really bad stuff's been pulled out of there just because no need to actually broadcast it, but we're more interested in looking at some of the stuff that they put in here. So, it's kind of just a grab bag of weird ones that I encountered, just in the last day, just looking through there, And this kind of talk is actually pretty easy to give because the source does a lot of the work for you. And this is not unique to this one dump that I looked at. This kind of thing you're going to find in pretty much every big password dump. You're going to find weird and messed up things that people write as their passwords. So, and let's talk a little bit about, like, what's a secret, right? We touched on this, but something that's really only known to yourself or a few others, and something that you probably, if it's a secret, you're probably not going to be comfortable saying this out loud or in public. People just choose weird things sometimes, and we're going to look at those. So, just a little bit about me. I go by the handle of Nyxgeek. I work for Trusted Sec. I love password cracking. We got a big rig at Trusted Sec, and I'm on that box pretty much 24/7. I also made hackermaps.org, so if you guys are ever in a new city anywhere and you need to find if there's meetups or whatever, go to hackermaps.org. I keep it up to date with just various B-sides, 2600 meetups, DC meetups, and then, of course, the major cons. Pretty much, if you have anything you want to submit, send it to me at my handle there. I have open messaging enabled, so yeah, just go ahead and ping me on there, and I'll add your site or convention to the list. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm kind of obsessed with password cracking. Like cracking rigs they're kind of like the new hot rod, right? Not everybody can have a car, but you could probably invest in a decent rig and do some pretty sweet stuff with it. Passwords have an ancient history almost, and there's a bit of wizardry in all of what we do. Like we make references to wizards, even like as the self-installers. And finding people's passwords is kind of almost like a word of power, back in, if you play Dungeons and Dragons or anything. And then even Gandalf got in on password cracking. He was, brute forcing that door at Moria. Probably wasn't the most efficient way, but that's what they did back then, apparently. I like that the passwords are really ancient when you go back to it. They're a means of identifying people way back in the day. But they contain people's secrets, and they're kind of like a mantra, like you're repeating this thing, whatever you're typing in over and over. So that's something I keep in mind with these weird passwords. These people are fixated on whatever it is, or they're at least being reminded of these things continuously. So for sources for these passwords, it's kind of like it makes talking about it a little bit difficult sometimes because, so when I talked to a lawyer about this, he's like, so what is the source for your passwords? And then it's like, so they're on the internet now. It can make things a little bit difficult. What I've been doing is taking out just the plain text strings. That's all we're interested in. We don't need to know if they have 1, 2, 3, or 5 at the end of it. So we've been pulling out, and I also did some searching for leet speak versions of things. For our purposes, what we're looking at today isn't the password. We're not doing statistical analysis. We're not exactly, at least. We're more interested in what the messages are and patterns in the messages that we're seeing. Luckily a perfect source for this all came along, and that's Troy Hunt's mega dump that he released. It's a bunch of the hashes from Have I Been Pwned. They've been sterilized, so to speak, and so no usernames, or in theory. They've been pulled out, and it's just the password, just the hashes. So the cracking community, if you go to hashes.org, you'll be able to find these. And they've already been cracked. So you don't need to do any cracking on your own if you want to look at this. You can just go ahead and download it from hashes.org, the solved Troy Hunt dump, and you'll be able to do some analysis on it without any real work. So there's 300 million plus entries in there. They're from a variety of sources. He goes through and explains where he pulled these out of, and it's a real grab bag, but we're making the assumption that these were at one time real passwords, or most of them were at least. Passwords lack context. So when you're looking at these, you're looking at such a small fragment of information. don't be too quick to make judgments, I guess. I mean, like, look at them for what they are. They're interesting, but we don't have context. We don't know what they meant by this. And if you're just doing word count in particular, just having the word in there, it doesn't tell you if they have a positive or negative view on that word. So we're only looking at word popularity, so something else to keep in mind here. And yeah, with ambiguity, something like Bob's wife. Is this maybe a woman who is married to Bob who identifies as Bob's wife, or is this somebody who has an interest in Bob's wife, either friendly or foe? So you can't really tell what it is just off the limited context that we have. So inside the hash dump aren't just hashes. There are hashes, but then there's a lot of other just garbage. And I'm not sure how much of this is like processing when other people are working with it or what, but basically, yeah, there's a lot of repeating Unicode in there. There's hashes within hashes, and Signature Prime did a write-up on that and talked a little bit about what they found inside the dump also. So that's something to check out. It is an interesting write-up. Pro tip, if you're doing password cracking or analysis, is to review your word list, right? It's simple, but it's something that a lot of people don't do, and I'm guilty of this too in the past. Sometimes you just grab a bunch of word lists and you throw them at something, right? If you don't look in there, I found that almost every major word list that you're going to find has a bunch of garbage. Like, it's just wasting your time and it's wasting your GPU cycles. So go through there and pull out the stuff that you don't want. So what I will usually do is look for really long strings first. Nobody really wants a password in their password list that's like over 24 characters. You're going to find that through other methods, or you're just not going to crack it. There's going to be so few people with that exact password or permutations of it. Scrub out the Unicode if you're doing US-based ones. ASCII just isn't that widespread yet. You're going to miss out on some, but I mean, again, you're looking for the fast and big breadth of hash or passwords to get. And look at things by hand. Because your brain is it's the best pattern recognition tool that there is almost. I mean, you're looking at things and you can see things that computers are going to miss all the time. So it's important, I think, to go through these and kind of, just give it an eye over. Also in this we removed a bunch of email addresses and domains that showed up, just to kind of pull out the list and make it a little bit more greppable. These are the real tools that were used, some super elite Hacksaw tools like grep and awk, sed. So I mean, these are like next generation tools. You should check those out sometime when you get a chance. So, and then regex, of course. Regex is the best for searching out these things because you can give it patterns saying, with leet speak variations and whatnot. So if you really want to do a deep dive on something. Our goals here were just to identify phrases, ideas, trends. Not so much in creating password rules off of this. I mean, that's fun to do too, but not something outside of this. Keyword count, we talked about this. It's popularity, not positive or negative views of things. And then, some restrictions apply, of course. When you're trying to find words, the longer the better for the most part, because you're going to get so much false positives. The noise-to-signal ratio is... You're not going to be able to pull out a lot if you're looking for four-letter words, for instance, because there are sub-words of so many other words. So I've limited this to English words that I've been looking for just to save time and make it a little bit easier. So two main methods were used for this, for going through the dumps. The first one was just to grep for alpha strings and pull them out. And that returned a lot of results. Super easy to analyze because then you can just do a unique C, sort unique C it, and then you get a word count of everything as it is. So that it's really easy to analyze in that way. The other way to do it is to give it a word list and then convert that all into regex for leet speak, and then grep for that as a regex. So a lot of automated processing of this where it'll just convert it over and then run through and search and then write those out into text files. Did some credit card searching and whatnot. There's a lot of people's credit cards, or at least valid credit card numbers, that are Lund verified and match the credit card formats in these dumps. I haven't looked into them too closely to see if somebody is really great and put in their expiration date, etc., or the code on the back. Other methods that were used to search through the list were just looking at big dictionaries, like the English dictionary is just way too big. There's like a top 100,000 Wikipedia words, and just other like frequency word sets to find the most popular words and kind of limit the scope of what we're looking for words. I like to sort by length. Look at the longest first. You're going to find either phrases in there, or you're going to find garbage, and you can remove the garbage then. But yeah, doing word counts, and then because if you're looking for phrases, something you can do is chop out the first like 1 to 10 characters, right? So you can just pull out the first 1 to 10 characters and then sort it, and then do a word count on it with a unique C, and then you can see what the most popular beginning of phrases are. So that kind of helps you to find more phrases and more words that, in these dumps. And so this occurred to me that I was looking for just, well, I should say it's way easier to search for just the plain text. Grepping out for the LeetSpeak versions is a real pain, and it's hard to just work with that data over the long term. So I looked into this, and actually, for the most part, with the exception of some keywords that are really well known and leetified, these people don't really use LeetSpeak that much in their passwords, I found. I mean, if you look at the numbers for the plain text versus the LeetSpeak, including the plain text, yeah, you only get a few hundred more in some instances. And I did a much larger test of this, and it maintained about the same rate as the bottom two. The password being LeetSpeak was an aberration. So one of the things I looked at were the I statements in passwords. For instance, I love is a huge one, and it's tons of people use I love as their password of some sort. I'm guessing there's probably 5 or 6 at least people in this room that have or use it now. And you can see that the range of things that they love varies. You got like, I love God, Jesus, I love sex, I love her, I love myself. So that's another thing I didn't get a chance to do with this. I wanted to see kind of at some point it'd be fun to do an analysis of positive versus negative words in passwords and see how that fares. I can tell you that, however, between like I love and I hate, the numbers are hugely different. Like look at this, 20,000 for I love, 1,500 for, well, do I even have I hate in there? I hate, yeah, okay. Well, at any rate, much lower numbers for the I hate, which is an interesting thing. I think it's a promising thing. It's good that there's more people that love things than hate things. But so another one that I looked at was I like, and the things that people choose between I like and I love are a lot different. Some of them maintain the same, like. But a lot of them like eggs. A lot more foods in this one, and other things. So yeah, it's interesting to look through these, and I'm going to show you guys a tool at the end here, just so that you can do this easily on your own too, because there's just so many variations and so many weird passwords. It's just a blast to actually for me at least to run through these and just try different keywords and see how many come back for each one. So like here's some choice cuts that I found. Some are very specific, and yeah, but they run a range of passwords there. So going on to I want. So here's another one that had a lot of interesting results, and again you can see that if you take out the first part here, a lot of these words kind of stay the same as far as what people love, hate, or want. Yeah. I want pie. I want job. They use proper English to get better success there. So, yeah, it's just looking through different opening phrases. I can. These are good, positive. I can do this. I can drive. I can see. Well, I can see you. Versus then. If you look at the I can't wait. Those two seems that's an error on my part. I have the same line in here twice. But or actually let's go back here. Yeah. Gotcha.
I like the I can't remember. Probably didn't remember.
Right. I will. These are some other interesting ones. I will win. I will survive. I will kill you. Those are some interesting ones too. I didn't want to go too far into some of these, but there are definitely, if you do keyword searches for like murder or I kill, things like that, you find some interesting results in there that you might not expect, and probably a lot that you would expect. So I won't forget. I won't stop. I won't remember. I won't use this. So basically, yeah, we're looking at just large phrases and popularities of these. So this was the first part of what I did, is just kind of grepping out these and then looking for the weird and interesting results that we have in there. So next I moved into the classics, summer 2017, that type of thing. So I grepped a few different ways for it, and the word popularity stayed about the same regardless of how I did it. So summer, there's probably a reason why we reference those type of passwords as the summer 2016, 2017, whatever, because they are the most popular. They're the most used ones, followed by fall, and then by winter and spring. Winter and spring, they stay about the same level, kind of interchangeable for rates. But yeah, summer definitely is a big increase over the rest of those. So this is one of the little scripts I wrote, where you can just popularity contest. You just give the script a few words, and it'll take however many number of words after that, and then it'll just give you an output like that. Just comedy limited, sorted by most popular there. So it's really easy just to. After I wrote this up, I was sitting around in my room and just hanging out, checking out, running through different things here, just because it was a lot of fun. I almost didn't make it here on time. I looked at video games, so these are just, again, popularity, so maybe people, hate Arkanoid, or they hate Galaga, but at any rate, they're typing it, so, it's, Pac-Man comes in first, Frogger, Tetris, Metroid, the most popular ones, they kind of fall in where you'd expect them to fall in. Celebrities. This one is kind of weird, actually, though, because if you look at number 3 down there, does that make any sense to you that John Cena is up there with Beyonce and Obama and Madonna? These are pretty unique names, so it's just interesting that he's made that into the password lists. And so I was thinking then, so let's look at rivalries, right? And let's see how different products fare against each other in this. So, does anybody have a guess? Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi.
Oh, Coke. By a bit. Right? That's true. They could have dual meanings, so maybe they just love Coke, but not Coke. Well, let's move on and look at a couple other ones then. So, Batman versus Superman.
Batman.
Pretty sure. But it's a little bit closer than you'd think, right? I thought it was going to be way higher Batman, but Superman's pretty cool, I guess. Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Oh.
Star Wars.
Star Wars beats it out by a lot. I think it's a larger fan base. You kind of got to get into Star Trek, Yankees versus Red Sox. Anybody? Baseball fans
here? Yankees. It has a dual meaning. Yeah, Yankees. Red Sox. Wow.
Yep. People love the Red Sox. All right. How about Red Vines versus Twizzlers? Twizzlers. I'm a Red Vine guy myself, but I was sad when I saw the results. So Twizzlers beats it out by a far shot. And then how about this? Okay, Berenstain versus Berenstein. Have you guys heard about this? Okay. All right. What do you guys think it is? Anybody? Berenstein. I'm with you there. But we have no answers. This has proven nothing for us. So 4-4. There's proven nothing. I was really hoping that would, shine a light on this once and for all. How about Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris?
Chuck Norris.
Really? I'm surprised to hear the Chuck Norris. Ready? Boom! Bruce Lee. So, yeah. So that was fun. Next, I went and looked at the top 10 things you can't say on television. Right? George Carlin's, top 7 things. Right. It goes down. There's almost none of the last two.
7 words you can't say?
Yes. Yeah, on TV, that is it. I also looked at just sports in general, just kind of fun, you know. Soccer, I guess it makes sense. It has a real big worldwide appeal, but I was surprised that hockey is the same as football. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Fictional characters. How about, like, I think Watson is just a generic term, so that's why that rates so highly. But some of these, yeah, Spider-Man beats out Gandalf and the Terminator, Harry Potter. Dumbledore is pretty far down there compared to Harry Potter, actually, too. Galadriel, Hagrid, Doctor Who. Yeah. So, I mean, I this tool, I couldn't figure out what to name it, so I'm just going with, like, my first instinct, and that's Dump Sniffer. It's to take a look through, it's to help people check out word lists and to read through them. It also, I'm going to be including the credit card checking script in there too. It's really basic and rudimentary, but it'll at least tell you if it's like a Visa or an Amex or a MasterCard, and does the LUN verification too, so you can see if it's a valid number or not. So these will all be available shortly. I haven't had a chance to upload them yet. And now I kind of want to switch gears in the last 5 minutes or so, and I just want to talk about kind of like, so password cracking is a big thing for me, and I want to give you guys kind of like some technical stuff here too, not just fun looking at passwords. So we're going to squeeze this in here quick. So I've been cracking major dumps for a long time, and there's some things that I found that really help when you get to that last mile, when you get to the 96th percentile of them, where you've cracked pretty much everything that's simple, and now you're just trying to scrape out and find some new ones. So one of those things is some Hashcat rules. This is just a straight up copy of the ones that were released from Hashkiller. They're in John the Ripper Jumbo Bleeding Edge. But I just translated them over to Hashcat. All it does is inserts one character at each char position all the way through, and then it'll do another one where it inserts two different chars at every char position all the way through. And then versions of it that do overwrite, and then there's an OI version that overwrites and inserts. So yeah, basically what you want to do is use a huge word list with this, like weak pass, and use that with these rules, and you're just going to cover so much key space just by doing the different permutations there. Yeah, I've had a lot of luck with this. And then, so you're probably, if you've done password cracking, you're familiar with the combinator attack. It takes two different word lists, and it'll put those together. So yeah, word list 1 has password in, and word list 2 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get password 1, 2, 3, or 5. You get all different combinations of the first and second words in there. So there's a variation on this that I'm calling the clever brute method, because it's not, there's no real math to it. It's not, you can't call it like a smart brute force. But what you're doing is you're creating word lists of the front parts of words and the tail parts of words. And you're cutting them off at different length here. So you see like pass W, pass WO. And then what you're doing is you're using that same, the combinator attack to then mash those all together. And the idea is that you're not doing a full brute force. You're not nearly approaching the key space of a brute force, but you're hitting what human-generated patterns there are. It's kind of, I mean, similar to like a quick and easy Markov model or something. But yeah, basically you're just trying to find human-generated patterns with human-generated patterns is the idea. And I've had a lot of luck with this too. Works way faster than other methods I've been using to cover that same type of key space. So yeah, this is how you make it. It's super simple, and then you're just using these word lists. So you're just cutting first 1 to 6, 1 to 5, and 1 to 4. You're going to sort and unique the whole thing before you run them, but yeah, you just want to get all those different human-generated permutations in there, and that should get you probably some hashes that you didn't have before. And I think we're approaching the end of an era for password cracking. I think. I mean, maybe they'll always be around. Maybe I'll be eating my words, but right now we have cheap GPUs. We've got lots of database dumps that happen all the time. And there's a lot of users that just choose bad passwords. That nobody's using password managers yet. Well, some people are, but a lot of people aren't. They're not using randomized passwords. I mean, passwords will be mitigated sometime. So I mean, we're looking at like smart cards. Those things are real annoying. And yeah, password managers. If you're using uncrackable hashes, like ones that are longer than the max length. So there is a beta version of Hashcat that can take super long passwords. But for most password crackers, there's a limit to how long those passwords can be that you can crack. Or if you just use complex Unicode. Unicode is huge. Like, the character space for Unicode is gigantic. If you are trying to crack brute force Unicode, you're never going to do it. I mean, it's just way too big of a key space. You have, like, all the Asian, like the kanji, the hiragana. You have the Russian acrylic. You have all these different non-Romanized alphabets that just are huge key spaces, and this is too much to cover. So yeah, once people start moving into strong Unicode passwords, we're screwed for password cracking. But make hay while the sun shines, right? Like today it's good. Get into cracking if you're not into it already. It's a lot of fun. There's just ample opportunity and resources. There's Crack Me If You Can here this year. I think it's actually over now. It
is.
Okay, yeah. But I was happy to see them back. It was really cool. They took a hiatus of a year, and I was worried there wasn't going to be any big password cracking competition this year. But yeah, so they're back. Hopefully they're going to be coming back again. And then look for Hash Killer if you're interested in password cracking contests too. It's a great site. It's in the UK. They run a contest, or they have run contests in the past. So another one to look for if you're into password cracking. Yeah, the Core Logic or the Hash Killer. But yeah, so just enjoy cracking passwords while it's good. Here's some resources here. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know we're at about the end of the time. In the back.
We should email part of your junk.
Yep.
Why couldn't those also be passwords?
No, they totally can. I definitely found a lot of emails as passwords.
And then you also mentioned credit card numbers.
Yep.
People using those as passwords.
Yep, for everybody, if you couldn't hear him from the back, he was just saying that why couldn't the email addresses be passwords? And they can and definitely are. People use them all the time. So if you're cracking passwords, use big email lists also that you've dumped, and use those because people will reuse that, or they'll use their email address somewhere else as their password for another place. So that's what you'll see. I didn't include it just because trying to get clean results out of it with emails. Another question?
Prints in your attacks?
So no, not especially. It's a good idea. It just takes so long to generate this. Yeah, but I wasn't really doing any cracking in this one. I was more just looking through. But I suppose you could probably use the prints to possibly pull out. We should talk later. That's a good idea, though. Yeah, not in this. I tried to say hands off with password cracking for this one, just so I could say that I was strictly doing a text analysis on something I found on the internet. So, does anybody else have any questions? Yes?
Did you come up with the total list of the probabilities for each type of small phrase?
No, that'll be interesting. I'll look into that. If you want to talk to me after this, that'd be cool. And yeah, I'll throw that up on the GitHub, though. That's a neat idea.
Best way is buy him a beer down at the bar and he'll answer all your questions.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of Derbycon.